Standing like the stones, how to weather and withstand, survive and thrive during life changes, challenges, and transitions. Copyright 2021 by Standing Stones Healing Company. All rights reserved. No part of this ebook may be used or reproduced in any manner whatsoever without the written consent of the publisher. Published by Standing Stones Healing Company. Legal disclaimer. Standing Stones Healing Company does not diagnose, treat, or cure any physical or mental illness with Reiki, card reading, coaching, encouragement, spiritual guidance, life advice, or any other services or products offered by Standing Stones Healing Company. By using Standing Stones Healing Company products, services, or media, you agree to hold harmless Standing Stones Healing Company for any adverse reactions that may result from use of said products, services, or media. Standing Stones Healing Company services are not a replacement for licensed medical care. All Standing Stones Healing Company videos, services, products, messages, and media are for entertainment purposes only and do not constitute medical, emotional, financial, or legal advice. Thank you. For more information, see standingstoneshealing.com/terms. Thank you and blessings. Greetings, and thank you for accessing this audiobook on weathering and withstanding, surviving and thriving during life changes. I'm Christian of Standing Stones Healing Company, encouraging your journey to help you transform during life changes, challenges, and transitions. On the cover of this book is a photo of the Pulnabron Dolmen, a Neolithic portal tomb in the Burren, County Clare, Ireland. These standing stones have stood the test of time against winds pressing in from the Atlantic and rain lashing its limestone face. Like other ancient stone structures, it's an inspiration to stand strong against the rains and winds of life, and to be present in the sun and sky of the long arc of time that encompasses us all. We too can weather life changes with strength, balance, and resolve. We too can be as present in the turning of the earth as ancient standing stones. During times of change and transition, often all we need and want is clarity, encouragement, and support. We know deep down we have the power within ourselves, but need help remembering. We need someone to help us see the door, or even kick it down. We need hope and encouragement. We need someone to provide a new perspective, encourage our journey, and remind us that we are just as powerful as ancient standing stones that have weathered the test of time. I have a true passion for encouraging you through your life changes, challenges, and transitions. My life purpose is to encourage, and I first realized the importance of encouragement many years ago when I read this Buddhist parable. A student on a meditation retreat asked Soen Nakagawa, "Master, I am so discouraged. What should I do?" Soen replied, "Encourage others." After helping thousands of people through their own life changes, primarily as a career coach, serving as a Reiki master, and many years of offering spiritual guidance on a range of challenges, I found myself providing again and again the same encouragement for life changes. I realized not only that the common thread in the experiences I coached people through was the element of life change and transition, but also that I had discovered a wealth of tips to pass along to help anyone in any kind of life change. This is what I found. I offer these tips in the hope that they will encourage you, like they've encouraged so many. Introduction. Where are you on your journey? What is happening in your life right now? Have you lost a job, gotten married, changed jobs, or started or ended a relationship? Maybe you've received a diagnosis, graduated from an educational program, or recently relocated. Has change happened to you? Are you trying to make change happen? Are you entering a new phase of life? Uncertain about the future? Searching for answers? Feeling stuck? We've all experienced life changes, challenges, and transitions. We've all been in a life transition and felt stuck, searching for answers, and uncertain about the future and what comes next. At times like these, life feels like a staircase spiraling downward with no end in sight. We've all wondered where the staircase leads, which path to take, and which door to open. Maybe you feel this way right now. Like you, I've experienced numerous life changes too, and am intimately familiar with the challenges of life change. I've graduated, relocated, gotten jobs, lost loved ones, started relationships, ended relationships. The list of life changes goes on and on. At one point, I experienced numerous large-scale challenging life changes in a short period of time and had to find the strength to rebuild. It was a difficult time, and my life was crashing down in all kinds of ways. It was exactly what I needed. Change is a natural part of life. I'm betting you've had a change or two or three or four in your life. I can't guess what changes you've had on your journey, but one thing is certain. You've definitely experienced life changes because, like water, air, or gravity, change is a natural part of life. And though I also can't guess what changes you will experience, I likewise do know for certain that you will experience more life changes. Change is even happening now. We are always experiencing major and minor life changes and are always transitioning from who we are to who we are becoming. We also sometimes actively want to create change and have a vision of where we want to go or who we want to become. But sometimes, even when we know we want to make changes, we are hesitant to transition into our next phase of life. We fear leaving the familiar for the new, or we aren't sure where to start or how. Whether we are actively creating the change or not, life changes can be large or small, come in all shapes and sizes, and can range from the death of a loved one to the end of a relationship, a relocation, career change, graduation, a change in your schedule, or implementing new health habits. Whether your life change is big or small, one you've created or not, one you want or not, no matter the change, the size, or the reason, life changes, transitions, and even challenges can leave us feeling overwhelmed, unsettled, uncertain, confused, lacking clarity, worried about what's next, wondering if we're doing it right or if something is wrong with us. Life changes are often accompanied by a range of emotions, including a sense of loss, grief, fear, uncertainty, anxiety, and even excitement. All of these feelings are possible during any and every kind of life change, even if it's a positive change that we've created. It can feel like we're standing below a mountain. And what do we usually do? Fumble our way through, push away our feelings, tell ourselves we'll get over it, and continue feeling unlike ourselves for a time. If we're feeling particularly in need or proactive, we may seek out the support of people who have had the same life change experience, others who have lost a loved one, or been fired, or are trying to quit. This is excellent. But what if there were secrets to managing life change? In addition to seeking support with our specific type of life change, what if there were general principles that could help with any life change? What if there were certain things we could do during any life change, transition, or even challenge to create a more positive experience? Things we can do during any life change, challenge, or transition to even turn them into powerful and transformative experiences. Because the truth is, no matter what life change, challenge, or transition you're experiencing now, it won't be the last one. Knowing that change is a natural, predictable, expected experience, what if there were certain things we could know and do during any life change to help us not only survive, but to also thrive? The good news is that I have discovered certain principles that will help us to weather and withstand any life change. After years of working with hundreds of people from all walks of life during their life changes, and after experiencing my own numerous life changes, I've found that there are things we can do during those unsettling, challenging, even confusing times of life change to help us stand strong and be present like ancient stones. More good news is that these principles work for life challenges too. So what are the things we can do to weather and withstand any life change, challenge, or transition? I've developed a whole process, the 7-way path, for encouraging our transformation during our life changes, challenges, and transitions. The 7-way path is more in depth than there is space in this book. But even before embarking on the 7-way path, these are the life change basics you need to know that I've realized after more than 8 years of experience coaching more than 1,000 people. 7 life change secrets. There is so much to consider with life changes, and so much wisdom and knowledge on this topic. But the following pages provide you with the basics of surviving and even thriving during life changes. This book includes the secrets you need to know to help ease any and all of your changes and transitions. This is not everything there is to know about life change, but this is what you need to know. And just applying these 7 tips will help you with the peace of mind, clarity, and stability you seek. Chapter 1: Surviving Life Changes. Number 1, recognize that life change is normal. We all experience life changes, and change is a normal part of life. In fact, the life change or transition that you are currently experiencing is not your first, and it won't be your last. Life change happens again and again, and we are nearly always in a state of flux from one self to the next. Have you lost a job, ended a relationship, experienced the loss of a loved one? These are challenging experiences, but know that they are common to the human condition. Life change transcends time and place, and all of us have experienced life changes numerous times in our lives. If you have ended a relationship, for example, you may be thinking, "Phew, I'm so glad that's over," or "That was terrible and I never want to have to go through that again," or "I'm done and I don't have to worry about anything like that ever again." But the truth is that you may very well experience the end of a relationship again in your life. At the very least, I can guarantee that you are going to have additional life changes. Recognizing that life changes and transitions are a normal part of life is the first step to weathering them. Acknowledge that your life change or transition is a part of life, and that life changes, even similar ones, can and will happen again. Number 2, know that your feelings are normal. In addition to normalizing the experience of life changes and transitions, it's important to normalize the feelings associated with them. During a life change, you may feel any number of emotions. You may feel sadness. You may feel anxiety. You may have trouble sleeping. You may have trouble eating, or perhaps you're even experiencing excitement or anticipation. The number one thing to know during any life change is that you can be feeling any or all kinds of feelings, including both positive and negative, to varying degrees at different times. The ups and downs and ebbs and flows of our feelings can seem like waves crashing down on us and then washing back out to sea. One moment, you might be feeling excited, and the next moment, you might feel anxious. Even positive life changes that we initiate and are excited about can instigate a range of emotions. Any and all feelings, positive or negative, that you experience are normal to feel during a life change or transition. Disclaimer. Please note, though, that if you are experiencing undue levels of depression or anxiety, I encourage you to seek professional mental health counseling. Reiki, card reading, and coaching during life changes is very helpful, especially for those who need encouragement, direction, a new perspective, or clarity, but whose overall mental and emotional well-being is not severely impacted. If you are experiencing severe mental and emotional anguish, I do recommend seeking a licensed mental health counselor to help you work through some of the deeper and more challenging emotions. This is especially essential if you are considering hurting yourself or someone else. Please seek help immediately at 1-800-273-8255, toll-free in the U.S., or suicidepreventionlifeline.org if this is the case. Standing Stone's Healing Company services are not a replacement for licensed professional medical or mental health care. In my own experience, I once ended a challenging, abusive relationship that left me completely emotionally drained, and recognized right away that I needed professional, mental, and emotional support to not go back to the relationship. I met with a mental health counselor for a few months to help me work through the experience emotionally and avoid returning to the relationship. During my life change, Reiki, card reading, coaching, and encouragement would have been helpful too, but a Reiki master, card reader, and coach, even a good one well-versed in life changes like me, was not the best fit for that immediate, dire emotional health need. These healing services are meant to supplement and enhance, not replace, professional mental health care. Aside from extreme feelings of depression or anxiety, know that your sadness, mild anxiety, trouble sleeping or eating are normal during a life change. Some feelings we know to expect. Of course we know that sadness over the loss of a relationship, for example, is going to be normal. Sadness is of course a normal part of grief, and we expect that. But during life changes, we can experience a range of unexpected feelings that surprise us. Whatever the life change, we often don't realize that we can expect to experience the full range of emotions, even if it seems counterintuitive. For instance, we usually don't expect to feel anger during positive life changes we initiate. It may surprise us, but it's completely normal. You may find yourself thinking, I don't know why I'm so angry. What's wrong with me? I've just accepted this new job, and I'm very excited about moving to a new location and a new home. Why am I feeling so angry? But it's a normal part of the life change process to be feeling a range of emotions during any kind of life change. Recognize and acknowledge that these feelings are normal, and know that they are most likely temporary and are going to pass. Experiencing a range of feelings, mood changes, and unexpected emotions is part of the life change process. Recognize the normalcy of your feelings and don't beat yourself up for your feelings. I once conducted a distant Reiki healing ceremony for a client who was upset with herself for still being sad over the end of a recent relationship and still missing her ex-partner. When I asked how long it had been, she said 3 weeks. 3 weeks! This is the blink of an eye in the long arc of time, as fleeting as a raindrop on a rose. It is completely normal and expected to still be sad over the end of a relationship 3 weeks later, or months, or years, depending upon the situation. So make sure not to beat yourself up if 3 weeks after a relationship has ended, you are still feeling some sadness. I confirmed that there was nothing wrong with her, and that these feelings may continue to linger, and that is normal too. It can take time for some feelings to weaken, dissipate, or end during your life change. Whatever feelings you feel, in addition to recognizing that they are normal, I encourage you to feel them. It's tempting to try to push away unwanted feelings, especially during a life change, to stuff them down, hide them, or bury them under a flurry of activity. Make sure to feel your feelings. But like a beach ball that you push under the water, these feelings will just resurface as soon as you stop pushing even a little. It will slip right back up to the surface. Feelings themselves are not good or bad. They are only information. I encourage you to notice how you feel. Feel it and release judgment of the feeling. You are not bad or wrong for feeling whatever you feel during a life change. After leaving my abusive relationship, I determined to feel all of the feelings: sadness, excitement, worry, anger, relief, hopelessness, hope, and to act on none of them, but to let them pass through me. It was not easy. Why do we experience such a range of emotions during life change? There is a beautiful Irish phrase, ec bora, which roughly translates to a shaking or quivering just before life springs forth. Before a seed cracks open, it shakes. Before the bud breaks into a leaf, it quivers. This is ec bora. I believe that in its shaking, the seed must be expressing its discomfort. The bud ready to open must be feeling tension. The flower just about to bloom is stretching. Otherwise, they wouldn't change. This is the discomfort a seed or leaf or blossom experiences as it's transforming, as it's navigating its transition, shifting into a new state, and literally breaking. The seed is expanding against its too small hull and growing too big for its current experience. Change is uncomfortable. It's hard to leave what we know, even when it isn't what we want. We typically don't like change for a number of reasons, including disruptions of established habits, beliefs, and ways of operating, and the uncertainty that surrounds change. When we are uncertain and unsettled, we feel uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable for a seed, too. Becoming a tree feels impossible to the seed. Transitioning from one phase to another, even when it's welcome, is not easy. It's an unsettled, shaky time, quite literally in some ways, but also figuratively with our emotional state. This is why tip number 3 is so important. Number 3, be gentle with yourself. I want to encourage you to be gentle with yourself during life changes and transitions. This is the number one thing you need to do during a life change. Even if they are positive life changes, when we are feeling these ranges of emotions, it can be easy for us to be hard on ourselves. We think we should be feeling a certain way, wonder why we're not feeling one way or another, and think, what's wrong with me? But it's important for you to be kind to yourself at these times, even during the smallest life changes. We have a tendency to think of life change as being large, like moving to a new country, or a loved one passing away, or changing careers. But life changes can be small things, and even these small things in our lives can present us with challenges and make us feel as though we are adrift in the sea of life. Even small changes in our lives can present us with challenges and make us feel as though we are adrift in the sea of life. Because they disrupt our lives, even the smallest life changes can have effects on all of our life experiences, including sleeping, eating, and emotional well-being. When we have a small change in one part of our life, it makes waves in and has ripple effects upon other parts of our lives. While we can have a change in one area of our life, it can affect other areas of our lives too. Be aware of and acknowledge that ripple effect, and be understanding of yourself during your life change and with any experiences and feelings that might arise. These 3 keys to surviving life change. Recognize that life change is normal. Know that your feelings are normal, and acknowledge them. And be gentle with yourself are the things you must know and do to weather any life change. But beyond just withstanding life changes, we can thrive during them and use them as opportunities to transform. The next chapter shows us the basics of how. Chapter 2: Thriving During Life Changes. Tip number 4. Draw on your previous life change experiences. No matter what life change you are experiencing, remember that you have already had numerous life change experiences. For instance, if you are a senior graduating from college, the chances are pretty good that you've already graduated from high school or have earned an equivalent diploma and have had that experience of achievement and then stepping into the unknown and wondering what comes next. During your current or next life change, I encourage you to remember and draw upon the strengths from your previous life experiences and to look to the evidence that shows that you have already made it through life changes and transitions. Give yourself credit for having overcome and moved through previous life changes. Look back on your previous experiences and allow them to show you proof that you've done something like this before and you absolutely can do it again. Focus on your past strengths, the positives that resulted from the experiences, how they have shaped you, how you have grown from them, and who you are now because of them. I also encourage you to give gratitude for the ways your life changes have shaped you into who you are today. This is actually the first step of the 7-way path. Number 5, take control of your life changes. When our life changes, our habits change. This is the most unrealized and underutilized fact of life change. Our habits are really what comprise our days and structure and order our lives. So when you have a life change, even a small one, it's going to throw off your habits. For instance, if your child is entering a new school with a different start time or location, that change will affect your whole morning and the routine you currently have in place, which means it can affect the habit of when you get up, the habit of what you eat, the habit of how your family interacts while getting ready, and the habit of what time you get out the door. It can even affect the habits of the night before. And this is just a small life change. Larger life changes have even greater impacts on our habits. One of the tricks to managing life change is to recognize that your habits are going to change and to take control and steer them in the ways that you want them to go. One of the tricks to managing life change is to recognize that your habits are going to change and to take control and steer them in the ways that you want them to go. For example, when you end a relationship, you are no longer seeing and spending time with that person. So all of the habits you had tied to that person, like spending specific blocks of time together, maybe weekends or particular evenings, going to certain restaurants, watching Netflix on the couch, are all gone. Whether you want them or not, these habits are no longer a part of your life, and you now have additional time that you previously spent with your partner. Rather than just allowing the time to be absorbed in whatever way, shape, or form that it will be absorbed, it's important to claim that time with the purposeful things you want to do with that time. For instance, after an unhealthy relationship, we may decide we really want to adopt some healthy habits. This was my personal approach after my abusive relationship experience, and I made a commitment to improving all of my relationships. I encourage you to focus your attention with intention on who you want to be during your life change and who you want to be after it. Consider the person you want to transition into, the habits you want to adopt, and the steps you will take. Ask yourself, who do I want to be during this life change? Who do I want to become during this life change? Who do I want to be after this life change? This is an advanced way to approach a life change, but times of transition are the most powerful times, especially for making changes. Considering these questions will help make your life change a transformative experience. For instance, if you want to be healthier, ask yourself what that looks like and feels like to you, and write those down. What does a healthy you look like? What does a healthy you feel like? If you want to be more generous, what does that mean to you? What is your definition of generosity? What does generosity look and feel like to you? What does a generous person do? What would a generous you do? We all have different ideas of what these characteristics mean to us, and the important question is what they mean to you, forget other people's notions of what, who, and how you want to be, and focus in on how you define them. What does your definition of a healthy person do? What does your idea of a generous person do? Once you determine the kind of person you want to be and the way you want to feel, you can then get specific about the actions. What does a healthier you do? What does a more generous version of you do? You can incorporate these actions and habits you want to adopt into changes in your schedule. Make sure the actions or behaviors you choose to adopt or change align with your vision of yourself. Maybe your vision of a healthier you involves exercising first thing each morning. So you may decide you're going to do 10 jumping jacks every morning as soon as you get out of bed. Well, maybe you decide to go to the bathroom first. Your 10 jumping jacks routine is a healthy habit and a small change that you can incorporate into your life. Knowing that when your life changes, your habits change, means you can adopt some directed habits that you want to bring into your life. I do want to offer one caveat with incorporating new habits into your life during life changes. Don't try to make too many changes at once. You will experience a change of habits during a life change, whether you want to or not. So I'm advocating guiding those changes and making habit changes with intention. I encourage you to create the changes rather than allowing them to happen to you. And, like with the small change of 10 jumping jacks, I encourage you to keep it small, especially at first. Small is good. Don't underestimate the power of small. It's also important not to cram every new free minute with new habits. Not only will you feel overwhelmed, potentially increase any feelings of anxiety, and have a harder time sticking to all of your new changes, but you may also be using it as a coping mechanism to avoid feeling the uncomfortable feelings associated with life changes. As I mentioned earlier, it's important to feel all of your feelings, not avoid them, and not judge them or yourself for having them. There is so much to say about taking control of our life changes and creating the habit changes rather than allowing them to happen to us. But I encourage following these principles. Choose with intention the changes you want to make and habits you want to adopt. Don't try to make too many changes at once. Keep the changes small, especially at first. These 3 principles are only guidelines. They are suggestions and not rules, and I encourage you to listen to your own intuition and inner guidance on the best ways to take advantage of the fact that when your life changes, your habits change. It's something you absolutely need to know about life change, but it's up to you how best to use this knowledge for your own empowerment and transformation. Number 6, focus on what you're gaining rather than on what you're losing. During any life change, there are things we lose and things we gain. Rather than focusing on what you are losing, I encourage you to focus on what you're gaining. This does not mean that we ignore the losses, and making sure to grieve properly is important. But with any loss, there is also gain, and we can choose what we put our focus on. For instance, if you've just ended a relationship, You can bemoan losing someone to cuddle with on the couch while you watch Netflix. Or you can relish having Friday nights free to finally read that good book you've been wanting to get to. If you've recently lost a job, perhaps you now have more time to spend with your children. Life changes themselves are neutral. It's the ways in which we think about them that make them good or bad. It's the feelings and emotions we assign to the changes and put into them that determine whether they are positive or negative. I won't argue that the death of a loved one is very challenging and sad and difficult. And I'm sorry for your loss if you've recently lost a loved one. The death of loved ones is often the most challenging kind of life change we will ever experience. But perhaps your loved one suffered with an illness, or you were caring for them, or putting a lot of your mental or emotional energy into care and concern for them. In such a case, perhaps you can now breathe a sigh of relief that they are no longer suffering, that the emotional and mental energy you put into care and concern for them can now be freed up for other things, and that you can now care for yourself. These are all positives within the negative experience. While these are challenging and difficult times, we can attempt to see the positives in them. Focusing on the positives rather than the negatives is not easy to do, so definitely don't rush it. Remembering tip number 4, draw on previous life change experiences, may help you. Your previous life change experiences molded and shaped you in beneficial ways, and this one is no different. Often this place of focusing on the positives rather than the negatives is one we can arrive at only after we have allowed ourselves to feel the full range of our feelings. I encourage allowing this phase of the life change process to unfold naturally, like a flower opening in its own time, while still making a conscious effort to consider it. Focusing on the positive aspects of your life change does not serve to diminish our grief or negative feelings, nor is it meant to ignore them. As I've mentioned, I encourage you to acknowledge and feel all of your feelings. During some life changes, the negatives can seem so much more overwhelming than the positives. But, as we know from previous life changes, these negative feelings will decrease over time. We can choose to acknowledge that there are positives within the negatives, even if we can't yet recognize them. And when we need help focusing on the positive, I encourage you to use the quickest and best way. Gratitude is the fastest way to focus on the positive. I am a huge proponent of gratitude and believe it is the foundation for transformation, especially during life changes. For 3 ways to deepen your gratitude now, please see my article at standingstoneshealing.com/encouragement. 3 simple ways to begin your gratitude practice now. Focusing on gratitude during your life change will allow you to put the emphasis on what you're gaining rather than on what you're losing, and help you to thrive during your life change. And gratitude is so important that, like I mentioned earlier, it just so happens to be the first step on the 7-way path. Number 7, learn and grow from your life changes. Life changes are experiences that we can grow and learn from. Whatever life changes you have experienced, they are growth points along your life journey. I encourage you to reflect on what your previous life changes have taught you, how you grew from them, and who you became afterward. By considering how we've learned and grown from previous life changes, we can be better prepared to consider the larger picture of any life changes we are or will experience. We will also be better prepared to ask ourselves what we want to get out of life change experiences and how we want to learn and grow. Like directing our habits, this allows us to direct the ways we learn and grow from a life change. Ask yourself how you want to change and develop not only your habits, but also the larger ways you want to grow and learn from your life change experience as a human being. How do you want to change? How do you want to grow and learn from your life change experience? As I mentioned earlier, many years ago, I was in an abusive relationship. And one of the ways I learned and grew from that experience was to gain compassion for what people in abusive relationships might experience. Although leaving that relationship was challenging, it was a wonderful gift to have increased compassion and understanding for others having a similar experience. I now understand why it can be so difficult to leave, and know that people in abusive relationships need love and support and not judgment. At the time, learning that lesson wasn't something I was consciously focusing on, and I needed to get out of crisis mode and have time to reflect on the experience to realize the gifts within it. Recognizing how we have learned and grown from a life change often comes later. But if we can acknowledge during a life change that we're going to learn larger things from it and will create greater meaning from it, then we can be more purposeful and intentional during our life change. In this way, we will be bringing greater awareness to our experiences and who we want to be during them, creating a greater connection to them, and even deriving more meaning from them. Whether you are currently experiencing a life change right now or not, you are going to experience more life changes. And reflecting in these ways will allow you to not only survive them, but to also thrive during them. Bonus tip: ask for help. You do not have to weather your life change alone. Support is all around us, even if we don't realize it, and even if it seems like we are a single stone standing in a wide and empty field. I encourage you to call upon your family and friends, angels and guides. There are numerous support groups, resources, therapies, and modalities to assist you. Reiki, card reading, or coaching from Standing Stone's Healing Company can also help you to gain clarity, insight, new perspectives, and a sense of calm and relaxation. Whatever comes next, I am passionate about encouraging your journey. Blessings for your journey. Your journey is uniquely yours. No one has walked your same path. No one has had the same set of experiences. No one is you but you. I encourage you to honor your sacred journey. Honor your life changes. Honor the cosmic revelation of your experience and the miracle of your life, including the changes, challenges, and transitions it brings, as they are all part of your blessed journey. And I encourage you to honor and encourage each other's journeys. Remember, on a meditation retreat, a student asked Soen Nakagawa, "Master, I am so discouraged. What should I do?" Soen replied, "Encourage others." Thank you. Blessings and best wishes for your journey.